The smoke from the grill curled through the air like it was trying to escape the conversations it overheard. I stood off to the side, holding a glass of homemade lemonade that was far too sweet, trying to look interested in a conversation I wasn't a part of. Same backyard, same plastic tablecloths, same faded banner that read, Lane Family Barbecue, Est, 1989. I was 33, but standing in that backyard with the fairy lights and the citronella candles. I felt 17 again, the art girl, the girl who never settled down, the one who still hadn't figured life out. Can you believe Sierra just got a third offer? Mom's voice pierced through the crowd like a dinner bell, drawing attention. Of course I could believe it. Sierra was golden. She had always been golden. From spelling bees to law school acceptances. The world had rolled out red carpets for her, while I had built mine out of duct tape and late nights. She's deciding between Vanguard and Nova Core Systems. Mom beamed, loud enough that the neighbors 3 yards down could probably hear. Both are Fortune 500s. Both are practically begging for her. I stared down into my drink. Not because I cared who was begging, but because the irony was almost too much to swallow. Nova Core Systems. My company. The tech consultancy that started in my one-bedroom apartment with a folding table and a Wi-Fi router that barely reached the kitchen. The same Nova Core that now had offices in 6 countries. A $1.6 billion valuation. And a client list that made Ivy League grads drool. Sierra didn't know. Nobody in my family did. I never told them, and I didn't use my name professionally. They had no idea the founder, the invisible CEO, known only as M. Lane, was the same Mara they once said would never make anything of herself. I didn't tell them because I wanted to see how long they'd pretend I was nothing. Dad was flipping steaks at the grill, humming off-key. He turned to me and smirked. Still playing with that digital thing? He always added an ellipsis to things he didn't respect. You know, he continued, I read an article the other day that said tech jobs are unstable. Algorithms can be replaced overnight. I nodded. That's true. You'd be surprised how many companies collapse because their infrastructure isn't built for scale. He blinked, confused. Right. Anyway, your sister's really doing something big. Yep, I said. She is. And she was. Just not in the way they thought. Then Sierra arrived, and like always, everything tilted around her. She was wearing this silky powder blue blazer set that probably cost more than my first car. Her makeup was immaculate, her heels impractical for a backyard event, and her smile was full of rehearsed charm. I just got off a call with Novacore's recruiter, she announced, clapping her hands. My aunt nearly choked on a deviled egg. That's incredible, sweetie, that company is huge. They are, Sierra said, and get this, the CEO will be sitting in on the final interviews. Everyone, in unison. Like she was about to meet the Pope. I took a sip of my lemonade and said nothing. Because I would be sitting in on the interviews. Because I am the CEO. Because Sierra had no idea she was about to apply for a position at my table. Pitching herself to the sister she once offered to get a job as an assistant somewhere. What's the role? I asked, smiling. Senior strategy consultant. She beamed. It's practically executive track. I nodded. Sounds competitive. Oh please. She laughed. They'll love me. I mean, look at my resume. Mom leaned in with a proud sigh. You could help your sister get something there. Once you're in. Sierra turned to me with that same pitiful grin she used in high school when I failed my driver's test. Maybe they need someone to design the office posters or manage the employee birthdays. And just like that, I was 17 again. The art girl. The scatterbrain. They didn't know that just last week I'd signed a partnership deal with one of the world's top fintech platforms. Or that Forbes had named me one of the most influential women in tech under 40. Or that my personal bank account had more commas than Dad's retirement fund. But they didn't ask. And I didn't tell. Because the next morning, Sierra would walk into the Nova Core headquarters. And she'd see a nameplate on the glass conference table that read, M. Lane, Chief Executive Officer. And for the first time in her life, she'd see me clearly. I was in my office before the sun touched the top of Camelback Mountain. The city below was quiet. Just the gentle hum of waking traffic and the slow brightening of a desert morning. I liked being early. I liked the silence before the noise. And today, I needed it. I slipped into my slate gray suit, not because I needed to impress anyone, but because it made me feel like armor. The kind of quiet, tailored confidence they never expected from a girl like me. Mara, the artsy one. Mara, the freelancer. But here I was, CEO of Nova Core Systems. Sitting high on the 27th floor. the windows stretching from floor to ceiling, framing the skyline like a painting I'd painted myself. My assistant, Tasha, knocked and stepped in with her usual calm presence. "She's here," she said. I didn't even have to ask who. "She arrived 25 minutes early," Tasha added. Posted a LinkedIn selfie in the lobby with the caption, "Future executive at Nova Corps." I snorted softly. Of course she did. She told front desk she's planning to modernize our onboarding workflow once she's hired. That got a real laugh out of me. "Well," I said, "then I suppose we better hear her out." The day was structured like any other executive recruitment session, multiple interviews, multiple perspectives. I had asked our directors to treat her just like anyone else. No favoritism, no mercy. 3 rounds before she got to me. I spent the morning reviewing reports. But every now and then, I glanced at the internal feed from our observation room. A small camera captured each interview, strictly for training and compliance. There she was, Sierra Lane, my little sister in her Chanel blazer and perfectly pinned hair, smiling like she'd already won. Sitting straight, poised, confident, just as she had been her whole life. But I watched the mask shift. Round 1, she stumbled over a technical case study, tried to bluff her way through, used buzzwords, didn't know what a stakeholder integration map was. Round 2, cultural fit. She laughed too hard, leaned too far, name dropped once too often. One of the interviewers made a note, over-rehearsed, borderline performative. Round 3, scenario design. She interrupted twice, offered vague solutions, got defensive. By the time her final session came around, her lipstick had faded and the edge in her voice had softened. Her body language had slumped half an inch. Still, she walked into my office like she owned it. I kept my back to her when she entered. Let the windows do the talking. Let the room breathe. She hesitated, then said, "Thank you for meeting with me. Mr. Lane, I know your time is." "It's Miss Lane," I said, turning the chair slowly. The moment stretched like a held breath. Her eyes widened. She blinked. Once, twice, like she couldn't quite process what she was seeing. I smiled. "Hi, Sierra," I said, evenly. "Welcome to Nova Corps." She stared at me like a ghost had walked out of a wall. Her voice finally caught up. "But, you're Mara?" I nodded. "That's right. Wait, you're the CEO?" "I am." Her mouth opened, then closed again. "But Mom said." I know what Mom said. The air in the room shifted. The power flipped like a coin landing edge down. "I thought you were doing some remote design thing." "I was," I said, "right before launching this company. In my apartment, with a second-hand laptop and a $10 grant." She didn't know where to look. I gestured toward the wall behind me. A line of plaques, awards, framed press features, a photo from our New York office ribbon cutting, the cover of Fast Company, the signature blue logo that now hung in every major airport's innovation lounge. "You applied to my company," I said, still calmly, "and you were interviewed like anyone else." Her throat worked. You could have told me." "Would it have mattered?" I asked. She didn't answer. I wasn't hiding, I added. I just stopped explaining. She folded her hands tightly. "So, now what?" "Now we talk about your interview," I said, sliding a folder across the desk. Inside were notes from each round. No emotion, just assessments. Too rehearsed, too superficial, not enough depth, weak analytical structure, defensive under pressure. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "This isn't personal, Sierra. It's business. And based on your performance today, our team can't recommend you for this role." She flinched. "You set me up." "No," I said, rising. "I gave you exactly what you asked for, a fair shot." I stepped around the desk. "You told the receptionist you'd modernize our systems. But you didn't even know how our systems work. You posted a picture before proving anything. You expected the world to hand you something. Because it always has." She looked away. "That's not how we do things here." She stood, and for the first time, her shoes wobbled. She wasn't Sierra Lane, rising star. She was just someone who got caught pretending. "Will you tell Mom and Dad?" she asked quietly. I paused. "I don't have to," I said. "I think you will." And then I pressed the button on my desk. "Tasha, please escort Miss Lane out. And cancel dinner with my parents tonight." "Yes, Miss Lane," Tasha replied. I turned back to the window. Behind me, the door clicked shut. And somewhere down the hall, I heard Sierra's voice crack into a sob. The office quieted after she left. You'd think I'd feel triumphant, vindicated, like the underdog finally getting her due. But I didn't. All I felt was tired. There's a unique kind of fatigue that comes from holding yourself back for so long just to keep peace, and then finally letting go. I sat back down, pulled up my email, and did what I'd been meaning to do all morning. I transferred $1 into Dad's account, the birthday money everyone kept passive-aggressively reminding me about. The same share Sierra had already covered most of. I'd let that slide at the barbecue. But now, I sent the full amount. And then some, enough to make a point. I added a note, "Happy birthday, Dad, from your little disappointment." Then I closed the laptop. And the notifications started. First came the texts. From Mom. "What kind of cruel joke was that? Mara? Sierra is devastated." From Dad. "We raised you better than this. You didn't have to humiliate your sister like that." "No. Congratulations on your success." "No. We're proud of you." Just blame. It was like they were mourning the version of me they thought I should have been, not the woman I had become. I stared at the messages for a long time, then placed my phone face down on the desk. The weight that left my chest in that moment. I can't describe it. I didn't need their approval anymore. I hadn't for a long time. I replied to the family group chat with a single message. "You raised me to be successful. Congratulations. You did. Now maybe you'll recognize what that actually looks like." Then I powered my phone off and turned toward my real life. In the weeks that followed, the family dynamics shifted. You could feel it like a cold draft under a door. The Sunday BBQs stopped. Whether it was shame, discomfort, or just logistics, I didn't ask. Our family Zoom calls, birthdays, anniversaries, they became stiff. Everyone tried too hard or didn't try at all. Sierra, once the bright center of attention, said less and smiled even less. She took a job at a boutique agency in Scottsdale. Mid-level, no title worth framing, no corner office, just a regular, earned position. She didn't post about it. And for the first time in years, my parents stopped asking what I was doing. Not because they didn't care, but because they suddenly knew, and didn't know how to deal with it. Then the article came out. Forbes. The silent success. How one woman built a billion-dollar firm while her family thought she was unemployed. My full face. No silhouette. No initials. Just Mara Lane, standing in front of Nova Corps HQ with a clean suit. Crisp headline. And the skyline behind me like armor. I didn't write a press release. Didn't post about it. Didn't even share it on LinkedIn. I just ordered 10 copies. Had them express mailed to my parents. My sister. My aunts and uncles. No note. No comment. Just the truth. I later found out Dad opened it at the kitchen table. Didn't say a word. Mom folded the magazine back into the envelope and slid it under a pile of junk mail. Apparently, she didn't throw it out. She just didn't want to look at it either. And I was okay with that. Let them process it however they needed to. I wasn't going to pause my life to make it easier for them. One night, about a month later, I got a message. It was from Sierra. "I still don't understand how you kept it all from us. But I'm starting to get it. And I guess I'm sorry." I stared at the screen for a while. Then typed back, "Thanks. It wasn't to hurt anyone. I just needed to build something in peace." She didn't respond, but that was okay too. Sometimes success doesn't need a spotlight. Sometimes it just needs to breathe. I spent the next few months doing what I always did, working. Growing. Building. We opened our Berlin office. Signed a 5-year enterprise contract with a Fortune 10 company. I hired 3 new department heads, all women from non-traditional backgrounds. Just like me. And when people asked what motivated me, I didn't mention the barbecue or the years of being the overlooked sister. I just said, I build so no one else ever feels invisible the way I once did. And now, if you're listening to this story, maybe you're where I was. Maybe you're the weird one at family dinners. The one who doesn't have a clear job title or a 5-year plan they can brag about. The one who's been underestimated so long that silence has become your armor. But let me tell you something. That silence? That's where the real work happens. Don't wait for applause. Don't try to prove anything to people who already made up their minds. Just build. And one day, the only sound you'll need is your name on the building. You know what stuck with me the most after all this? Not the magazine cover. Not the shocked silence in the family group chat. Not even the look on my sister's face when I turned around in that CEO chair. What stayed with me was how long I kept myself small just to make everyone else comfortable. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Because it wasn't just about Sierra, or my parents, or their words at that barbecue. It was about the decades of tiny comments. The backhanded compliments. The jokes. The pitying glances at family dinners. The way they always remembered my failures but never noticed my progress. They didn't mean harm. At least, not all of them. But that's the thing about underestimating someone quietly, it still does damage. If you're still listening, maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're the one they think is too soft, too quiet, too late, too weird. Maybe your success doesn't come with a diploma or a corner office yet. Maybe you're still figuring it out, still building, still holding back your power because you think it'll make them stay. Let me tell you something. You do not need to wait for them to see you. You do not need their permission to be extraordinary. And you definitely don't need to make yourself small for anyone's comfort. You don't have to win loudly. Some victories come in whispers. Some legacies are forged in silence, brick by brick, line of code by line of code, late night by late night. If you've ever been made to feel like a background character in your own story, you are not alone. I see you. I know what it feels like to be the sibling who gets the maybe next time. To be the one they skip over in introductions. To have your ideas explained back to you like you're the intern. But that pain? That's fuel. You don't have to scream for attention. You just have to keep building. One day, you won't need to say anything. They'll walk into the world you created. And they'll realize they weren't paying attention while you made something extraordinary. That's what happened to me. And honestly, that moment, that silent moment, was louder than every insult I ever swallowed. So if you're still hiding your brilliance, if you're toning yourself down to survive family dinners, if you're biting your tongue while they brag about someone else's career path, if you're still building in the shadows, don't stop. The world has enough noise. We need more builders, more quiet revolutionaries, more people who rise without needing the spotlight. And if this story felt like yours, even a little, I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me who doubted you. Tell me how you're proving them wrong, not with revenge, but with results. This channel isn't just for stories like mine. It's for people like you. The quiet warriors. The ones who don't need applause, just room to breathe. Let's build that room together. And when you're ready, put your name on the building.